If you've spent any time looking at passive income over the last few years, this will sound familiar. You find an offer that looks promising. The website is polished. The language is confident. There are testimonials, charts, maybe even screenshots of big returns. And still, something feels off. Either it sounds too good, or it feels strangely vague. You're told it's hands-free, AI-powered, or low risk. But when you look closer, it's hard to tell what's actually happening behind the scenes. Most people do one of two things. They either jump in emotionally, or they freeze, thinking they need spreadsheets, advanced analysis, or some kind of financial degree just to figure out if it's real. But here's what experienced investors eventually learn. You don't need complex analysis to avoid bad passive income offers. You need better questions. And with the right questions, you can rule out most of the questionable stuff in about 10 minutes, without spreadsheets, charts, or technical knowledge. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a simple 10-minute checklist you can use before you send money to any passive income platform. Before we get into the checklist, we need to reset one big misconception. Real passive income is not exciting. It doesn't create urgency, it doesn't rely on hype, and it rarely sounds dramatic. If something feels rushed, emotional, or overly confident, that's often a sign that the story matters more than the structure. Long-term investors think differently. They're not asking, how fast can this grow? They're asking, what happens if something goes wrong? Because mistakes made with passive income usually don't show up immediately. They show up months later when it's hardest to fix them. So with that mindset, survival first, excitement later, let's walk through the vetting process. The first and most important question is simple. Where does your money live after you invest? Not conceptually, not in the market, physically and legally. Is your capital sitting in your own regulated brokerage account under your name? Or is it sent to a company-owned account held only inside a platform dashboard rather than an account in your own name? Described in vague terms like internally allocated without a clear explanation of the setup, this distinction matters more than any promised return. When your money stays in your own account, you keep visibility, access, and legal separation. You can see it. You know whose name it's in. When it doesn't, you're no longer protected by structure. You're relying on trust. A lot of platforms try to blur this. They use phrases like managed for you or internally allocated without explaining who actually holds the funds. Here's the rule of thumb. If you can't explain where your money sits in one clear sentence, that's a reason to slow down. The second question is, who has the power to move the money? There's a big difference between a system that executes trades for you and a company that controls withdrawals and access. Execution is about strategy. Control is about ownership. If a company can delay withdrawals, approve or deny requests, restrict access based on their internal rules, then performance becomes secondary. Because in moments of stress, market volatility, personal emergencies, unexpected expenses, access matters more than returns. Experienced investors prioritize liquidity and control, especially with passive strategies. So ask clearly, who can move my money? Who can block me from accessing it? And then add one more simple question. Am I locked in? Can you reduce or exit your position whenever you choose? Or are your funds tied up for months or years with penalties or restrictions if you want to leave? The more an offer relies on lock-ins and penalties to keep investors from leaving, the more carefully you should look at the underlying structure. If the honest answer is, I can't get my money back when I decide on my own timeline, that's a major risk factor. Here's the question almost nobody asks early enough. What happens if the company behind this offer disappears? Not in theory, practically. If the website went offline tomorrow, can you still log into your account? Can you still see your funds? Can you still withdraw your capital without their involvement? If the honest answer is, well, as long as they're still around, I'm okay, that's a dependency risk. Strong passive income structures are built so that investors are not stranded if the business changes, pivots, or shuts down. Your money and your access should not live or die with one company's internal operations. This single question filters out a surprising number of offers, and it's also the moment where the difference between promises and structure becomes very clear. To make this concrete, let me briefly explain how we approach this at ATN. At ATN, we help everyday investors access private, institutional-style trading systems that used to be reserved for hedge funds and ultra-high net worth individuals. The model itself is hybrid by design. Automation handles execution and monitoring around the clock, enforcing rules consistently and without emotion. Experienced professionals oversee strategy, risk management, and changing market conditions. Our clients aren't looking for excitement. They're looking for consistency, transparency, and peace of mind. Our clients want growth, but not at the expense of control. ATN was built on the idea that real automated income should simplify your life, not add more stress to it. If you agree with that and are interested in learning more, there should be a link to speak to us in the description of this video. Now let's go back to the checklist and talk about transparency. Once you understand how control and structure should work, the next thing to evaluate is transparency. Transparency is not a few cherry-picked screenshots or one amazing month cropped out of context. Real transparency looks like third-party performance tracking, ongoing visibility, not just the best months, clear explanations of drawdowns and losing periods. Every professional system experiences losses. That's normal. What matters is how those losses are handled, how they're communicated, and whether they match the risk profile you were told about. If a platform avoids discussing risk, drawdowns, or bad periods, that's not confidence. That's marketing. Serious investors look for honesty, not perfection. Next, ask yourself a very simple question. Do I actually understand how this thing makes money? Not the buzzwords, not the branding, the mechanism. You should be able to answer in plain English. What is the underlying activity? Is this based on trading, lending, options, real estate, business cash flow, something else? Where does the return come from? Is it interest, rent, price movement, premiums, fees, or some combination? What is the main risk? Market moves, defaults, liquidity, something breaking in the process? And what does a normal bad period look like for this strategy? If you can't explain the core idea in one or two clear sentences to a friend who knows nothing about finance, then you're not really investing. You're just trusting a story. Complexity itself isn't bad, but when complexity becomes a shield that prevents you from understanding what's going on, that's a problem. The rule is simple. If you can't explain how it works in your own words, you probably shouldn't put serious money into it yet. Finally, we come to something that gets overlooked all the time. Does this actually reduce your time and stress? Passive income should simplify your life, not complicate it. If you're expected to, monitor charts, adjust settings regularly, watch alerts, time entries and exits. That's not passive, that's just outsourced stress. The best passive systems are intentionally boring. They exist so you can focus on your life, your family, your work, your health, without constantly thinking about what the market is doing. This matters most for investors who value time and peace of mind over excitement. So ask yourself, will this free up my attention or quietly take more of it? One last filter. Listen to the tone of the offer. Is it calm, measured, and patient, or is it urgent, emotional, and pressure-driven? Real opportunities don't rush serious investors. They allow time for understanding and decision-making. If the messaging feels desperate, it usually is. And if you feel pulled into a decision faster than you can understand the structure, that's your signal to step back. Your nervous system is often a better early warning system than any spreadsheet. You don't need spreadsheets to vet passive income. You need structure, you need clarity, and you need the patience to ask a few simple questions before you send your money anywhere. Because in passive investing, survival comes before performance. And the opportunities worth considering rarely look exciting at first. If you'd like to see how these principles look inside a real structure, where your money stays in your own name, in your own account, with no lock-in and no fixed holding periods, we've put together a short walkthrough of how we operate at ATN. You'll find the link near this video. Watch that before you commit capital to any passive income platform. Even if you never work with us, it will help you spot red flags faster and make calmer, clearer decisions with your money.